Greetings again everyone, I am RSV. Today's video is a follow-up on the NGS headline, and I'll be focusing on my worries here. So, there'll be a follow-up video tomorrow about everything I think is great in the headline as well, but this video will cover a few of the concerns I have been able to brood on. Before I begin though, Cast Pride, remember to wear your NGS Castparts and male outfits for more of both. First, let's talk about the elephant in the room. There was no mention of Summoner or Luster in the headline. I'm not really sure if I'm worried about the classes being scrapped or anything like that to begin with, though this along with the Castparts and male cosmetics thing has made me worried Sega doesn't understand its player base in the slightest. Now, Summoner probably doesn't give you any indication of this, sorry Summoner mains out there. It is purely the Luster or Gunblade class they announced at the start of NGS. The class is a translation of the Cyan Luster class into NGS. There were a lot of people waiting for the bounces to drop, and Luster was even more popular. There is probably a large portion of the player base freaking out a little bit over it. Hell, to some degree, there are players who won't play NGS until Luster drops. But it also makes me worry Sega is biting off more than they can chew with the number of classes in the game. It would be nice if Sega was public about their team's numbers, so I could confirm this. More transparency is still needed and is important. And this worries me. Sega has a habit of leaving too much to speculation. Mystery is great for story, not for game systems. And in the case of story, you still need to give your audience a bone to chew on so that way they can speculate in the first place. On to Castparts in general. I believe Sega's data on this is invalid, and is based on a flawed notion. People want to wear the new stuff that comes out weekly. If no new Castparts come out, they don't want to use the old ones. You have probably noticed I change my character's look fairly often. I do this because I enjoy following the new costumes that come out. If a nice cast set came out, I'd be a cast personally, but nothing is really out there for casts right now to enjoy. So why would there be many NGS outfitted casts? Their reasoning here does not make sense. Next, I am worried about replayability. I mentioned in the previous video that the two girls that are added to NGS during Redem that have repeatable quests are a great addition to the game. Their content is a replayable loop. The problem is the loop needs a reason to do it outside of leveling. These two NPCs could single-handedly increase the daily quest count and the time of completion from 10 minutes to a lot more if they are done right. I'm just really worried they aren't done in a way that actually supports the game's endgame. Though one of them apparently has its quest geared towards the endgame, so we can only hope they are genuinely worth doing for all facets of the endgame, whether that be Meseta farming for fashion, or gear farming for speedrunning, or if there is an actual endgame where we actually use our gear for something other than speedrunning. Additionally to this, I'm worried they didn't really get the memo with cocoons or training arm being repeatable. While I don't entirely think the training arm takes a very long time to actually develop or create, it is still time that could have been easily optimized by giving them something to make them want to be done outside of skill points. To me, it just seems like an unfortunate oversight and is an example of Sega wasting their time making good content that is one-off. Thinking about it, there actually isn't much else that overly concerns me. There isn't really anything new, I say in quotation marks. No new quest types outside the open world trigger quests. So I think that some people are kind of losing faith in that regard. Having said that, I don't really expect anything overly quirky or new until episode 2 comes out. Sure, it would be nice to see some quirky quest types or something new in that regard, but I don't really think that it is reasonable to expect. There are new enemy models, so there's more variety and that should be refreshing. And new abilities, but nothing really stands out to me personally in that regard. Maybe some of the enemies will be quirky and fun to fight for a bit? It's hard to say. But even good content gets boring eventually, and more quickly if it's not supported by its systems. Now I've gotten this before, I'm being a bit too critical or serious or whatever, and in my opinion, I'm just talking from a base level here. I'm barely being critical about the game as far as I'm concerned. From my perspective, I'm just stating common worries that should be coming up in the community about now. If I was really being overly critical about the game, I feel my writing would be a tad more aggressive. I wouldn't be having to make sure my script writing is saying what I want it to say, having to read it over and over and over again, and checking that what I'll be reading is really how I feel about the game. The only emotion going into my script is worry, and my worry is coming from a place of concern for the game, as I feel like it could easily be axed by Sega. I want to get this out there that, as I have said before, I love PSO2, and for that reason, I try to be as unbiased as possible about the state of the game. Whether that means berating or praising it, I'm happy I can do a bit of both right now, and a more positive video will come out tomorrow and will be followed by a should you play NGS during Retum video. I hope you have a good day or night. Please consider subscribing, and if you like my video, remember to leave a like. If you disagree with my worries or wish to assure me that I am wrong, please let me know in the comments. Doing all this would really help. Also, let me know if you made it this far by typing Castparts in all caps in the comments below. I have been RSV, and I will see you next time.